Fondant potatoes, or Pomme Fondant, are of course French. I mean, translated it means melting potatoes. Now, fondant potatoes are one of the easiest and most spectacular ways to cook potatoes. Now, fondant potatoes are so incredibly delicious that it's the favorite way of serving potatoes in Michelin star restaurants. Now, I learned to cook fondant potatoes at three Michelin star restaurants, and today I will show it to you. Who am I? Well, my name is Walter Trapp. I used to manage and own and run some of Europe's best restaurants, and today I run my own cooking school. Now, fondant potatoes, although so easy to make, are also one of those dishes that cause a lot of confusion. But not for you, because I will decipher all the secrets for you and show you what I learned at Market Beer White, at Michel Roux's Waterside Inn, and at Pierre Kaufmann's La Claire, all three Michelin star restaurants which I used to work in when I was a younger chef. And let's get into it. First, you need the right potatoes. Now, there's three types of potatoes: floury or starchy, absorbent potatoes, which are good for mashing, but they have very little flavor. They have no memory texture. And then the other ones are firm-fleshed potatoes, as well as the ones which are in between. Now, for fondant potatoes, you need firm-fleshed potatoes. Why? Well, for a start, firm-fleshed potatoes have more taste. They also don't fall apart during cooking, and they don't become porous and break apart like starchy potatoes would. Now, starchy potatoes are too boring for fondant potatoes to start with, but they're actually a disaster, because when you cook them, they will soak up all the fat as well as a lot of the water, while at the same time they will release a lot of the starch into the cooking water. Now, the released starch at the end, when all the water is gone and you start frying the potatoes, will burn. It will burn the potatoes, and you cannot develop a proper surface. Instead, your fondant potatoes will fall apart. Fondant potatoes, you need firm-fleshed potatoes. They need to be waxy. They become then creamy, melting, rich. That's what you want. I know. You want to know now how to work out the starchy potato from a firm-fleshed potato. I mean, it's a jungle out there. There's so many different varieties, and they all call different names in different countries. So I'm not going to give you any names. I instead say that, well, why don't you go and watch my video on roast potatoes? In there, I reveal you the secret code that is so simple, where you can work out the right potatoes for whatever you cook in no time, every time. So let's get cooking now. Now, you peel the potatoes, and you can make them a bit prettier if you trim the edges with a peeler on the top. You can cut them barrel-shaped or in half or oval. It's up to you. Now, what else do you need? Fat. Loads of it, of course, because you need fat for two reasons. First, to stop the fondant potatoes from burning when you fry them, so you can actually fry them properly, and if you have too little fat, then the edges and the sides will not brown up, and the potatoes don't become that waxy. I'll tell you more about that in a second. Don't worry. If you use the right potato variety, they will not absorb much of the fat anyway. Any leftover fat you can then use again and again. Like you can use it for roast potatoes or to fry a steak. What fat? I mean, some people say duck fat, some say butter, some say olive oil. I mean, you know me by now. I use butter. Butter is the nicest tasting fat. It goes with everything. It's a natural flavor. For me, butter is the answer to everything. And there's a recipe below, and you can check that out. Next thing is garlic goes in, whole cloves, of course, that is. Now, if you leave them whole, they look really pretty, and it makes a really nice garnish at the end. They taste amazing. I always say that's the best part of the fondant potatoes, if you ask me. Comfy garlic. Then some herbs like rosemary or thyme, depending on what you serve with them. I mean, you could do a sage or oregano as well if you want to. Liquid. Now I personally prefer water because that gives the fondant potatoes a sort of a really nice clean flavor. So they go much better with a sauce. But some chefs use like chicken stock. I remember Marco B. White used to add stock cubes, which I'm not a big fan of, but then, different method for different people. Salt, cover it with water, lid on, bring it to a fast boil, cook it for 15 or 20 minutes. Now the cooking time very much depends on how thick you cut your potatoes, So to check that, you remove the lid and you check the potatoes for doneness. When you poke a knife in it, some resistance should be there, and it should be the same resistance all the way through. But if you just notice they're just about to be cooked through, you can remove the lid and keep cooking them on a really high heat till all the water evaporates and they go into fry, and then you fry and you fry and you fry. Don't worry, the pan might be completely dark or burned, but the potatoes will be approximately 50% lighter, so fry them for a long time. Reduce the heat on a medium, you don't want to burn the fat, and fry. Be brave. Hang in there, fry. You take them off too early and they look pale and they taste boring. Now frying develops a lot more flavor, and you totally dry out the surface and the sides of the potatoes. And by doing so, basically making the porous, creating space for the butter to be reabsorbed into the potatoes during the resting time, making them so creamy, melting. Just amazing. What wine would you serve with the potatoes? I think it just has the right acidity to cut through the rich buttery flavors of, I think you need a drink anyway, because if you think how much frying you need to do, it could be a really challenge if you do it the first time. Cheers. Well, I'm still challenged today to this day. After you fry the heck out of them, you set them aside, but do not try to take them out too early. They might stick, they will stick, or if they come out, their surface will be stressed, it will be dry, and it will be slightly chewy. Dry, chewy potatoes, that's just not great, isn't it? You need to wait a little bit so that the water from the potatoes travels back into the bottom, mixes with the butter, and so that causes condensation, and then the potatoes will release themselves eventually from the pot. The surface will also absorb some of the fat, giving the fondant potatoes, aka melting potatoes, their name in French. How long should you let them stand there? Well, I personally say at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes, great. And you can also store them like that for several hours at room temperature and then gently reheat them in the oven on the stove. But you can never ever cover them with a lid, because that will cause condensation and it will wash away the brown coating in the pan, and the potatoes then start to look really messy. Plus the burnt bits in the pot will make them taste quite bitter. You get me? You could even store them in the fridge like that for several days just by covering, but don't leave them in the pot in the fat at the same spot where you cook them, and it'll be absolutely perfect after reheating. And look at that. Cleaning a pan, well, remove the fat, cover the pan with water, let it stand for an hour. Or if you want to hurry up, just bring it to the boil and it just can wipe it all out. It's pretty simple. It's so good. Oh, no, I haven't forgotten about my run. I will run today. I have to, because there are some really, really crazy bad methods of cooking fondant potatoes out there. So I'll start with, I'll give you a countdown. So first, the honorary mentions, which is specifying not what potatoes to use. We covered that, so we're fine with that. Taking them out too early, where the potatoes dry out and have a chewy surface, we covered that also. And the highlights of today is cooking them in the oven all the way through at 220 degrees, just in the fat. How will they ever caramelize without being chewy and dried out? Next, I need to read it from my phone, because frying them in the pan, in the fat, for 45 minutes on both sides, so you fry them for 45 minutes in fat on both sides, high heat, with then After that, they brown, then you cover them with water. I mean, really, fondant potatoes translate melting potatoes. Cooking them for 45 minutes will cook any potato all the way through. Plus it will dry it out like crazy and therefore make it extremely chewy. But hey, that's not all. The recipe then goes on to boil them for another 30 minutes, which will create basically a very, very chewy mess. The burnt fat will taste really bitter. Everything will be brown. Now, when I read that method, I needed to have another drink, but then I came across a version where they say that you should cook them in white wine. I mean, have you ever tried that? Potatoes and acid like you have in wine or tomatoes or vinegar or so, lemon juice, they will stop the potatoes from softening, and even if you cook them fully, they will still be hard and raw and actually taste like a raw potato. I mean, it's wrong, it's awful. I mean, I hope people would stop posting recipes like that. I mean, I don't know. There are some shocking recipes out there. You know, there's people, I don't know if they do their research, you know. And then I come along and I read those recipes. I'll tell you, it turns into an alcoholic. Cheers. Oh, it's just so good. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time.